So, good evening, everybody, and do let me know if you can hear me, okay? You are once again attending Get Inspired and Speak Up, which is a Friday night writing prompt, generative poetry writing prompt session. And I am your presenter, as always, for this class. My name is Phynne-Belle. I am a Bay Area poet, organizer of the Phynne-Belle platform, and a co-director with the Poetry Global Network. So for each of these sessions, I'd like us to concentrate our energies on some very effective skills that get us right into the thick of writing. Remember, these could be first drafts that you are creating right now today. That could be later shared in public or published. This is also your space where I would like you to develop your strength in your spoken poetry and knack for storytelling. So first, in this session, you'll be given an initial spark. This is by way of 5 prompts in succession. Next, we like to engage in quick writing sprints. This is where you free write in a short time period and do not pause to make edits. Finally, at the very end of the session, we take time to read our works out loud to the room. So these are how these sessions would normally go. I will present 5 successive prompts that we will take a few minutes each to write. Please remember to not edit. When we completed all 5 prompts, and if time allows at the very end of the session, I would like to highly encourage you to come up to the mic and to perform or read your piece in front of the rest of the class or the attendees. Because I believe that performing your piece here not only helps you when you go back later to potentially refine your piece, but it also gives you the confidence to, further test the boundaries of, what direction you want to go, how you want to bring out certain elements of the poem itself. Be able to pay attention more to its internal rhyme, cadence, and rhythm. So in order to do that, if you've never done it before, you can request to read your work by clicking the raised hand button. And that raised hand button is right at the very bottom on your screen. It should be on the right hand of the screen, and it is the raised hand that says speak underneath that. So before we begin, I'd like you to repeat this mini mantra to yourself. You can do it out loud. You could do it softly. You could do it in your head. I'd like you to repeat to yourself that I am a poet. I am a writer. Say that to yourself 3 times. Get into the feel of it. If you are not convinced yet, I'd like you to get used to that, saying that to yourself. I am a poet and I am a writer. And please, please, please do not allow anybody else to tell you any differently. Please bear in mind that as creative souls, we thrive on the encouragement and the constructive feedback of our peers. So if you are not the person who is sharing at the moment, but you are listening in, listening being a very important skill, please be very profuse in your encouragement and your comments. If you don't know exactly what to say about a poem, the easiest thing to do is to repeat back a line that particularly captured you. Please leave any sort of judgment of your pieces that you're creating today or pieces that other people are creating today out of this room. This is a judgment-free room. This is a sacred space for you to write. And, needless to say, but I'm going to say it anyway, please remember that everything that you create is wonderful and magnificent and unique. It's all yours. It's your words. It is very individual, very different from what anybody else would write. And in that way, it's very special. So before we begin, I invite you to join in with me. Take a deep breath in through your nose, deep and slow, about 4 seconds. Hold it for a 4-second count, and then breathe it out with a big whoosh through your mouth. Let's begin. Breathe in deeply through your nose. Hold it. And a big whoosh out through your mouth. Wonderful. So before we begin, last week I assigned the optional homework. And that optional homework was a 6-word story challenge. So if anybody was able to write to that, I would love to hear what you came up with. So I'm going to give you a few seconds to respond. Please do that. And do let me know what you thought about it. Do post in the chat what you wrote, or come up to the mic and share it with us out loud. Any takers? Do let me know, and we will move right along. So think about that for a little while. In between prompts, if you do get the urge to share, do let me know. We can have you jump on really quickly. We can mix it up a little bit today. So we're going to get right into one of the main parts of today's session, being the prompts, and then later on the sharing, should you feel safe enough and brave enough to do so. So we're going to start with the prompts. Remember, 5 prompts, 4 minutes each to write to them. Today, the first prompt is, I love this prompt when I first posed it. This is an older prompt, so I am actually putting this prompt out again. And here's how it goes. Samson of biblical story has lost his amazing strength when his hair was cut. That's how the story normally goes. Rapunzel's hair entangled, or any of the versions of the Rapunzel fairy tale. Well, actually in the tangled version, had healing abilities. Medusa's serpent locks turned men into stone. So if you had magical hair of some sort, what would it do? If you had magical hair of some type of magical hair, what would its magic be? What would it do? So begin writing. You have 4 minutes to do so. Okay, time's up on that first prompt. I hope you like it. And we will move straight away into the second prompt. Um, if we have time a little later, don't fret if you don't finish them. The whole point is not finishing an entire piece, it is starting it off and going back later over the week, should you choose, to go ahead and smooth over, gloss over, iron over any pieces that you want to on a particular prompt that spoke to you. So we're going to go on to the next one, prompt number 2. Number 2, very simple, but I find that the simpler ones give you more room to write because they don't lead you as much. They give you the leeway to story build, to world build, in a sense. I am wounded. This is the phrase I want you to work off of. I am wounded, heal me. I am wounded, heal me. Please use that as inspiration in any way that you see fit and begin writing. You have 4 minutes to do so. I am wounded, heal me. 4 minutes on the clock. We have 1.5 minutes left on our timer. Okay, pens up, please. And we move right along to our third prompt. So for our third prompt, I would like you to think of a situation where you have developed a very pesky hiccup that won't go away, no matter how you try to find remedies for it. And to make matters worse, now that every time you hiccup, time fast forwards. So it fast forwards in increments. Say you hiccup the first time, it fast forwards by a minute. The next time you do it, you notice that a whole hour has elapsed. And then the next time you have a big fit of hiccups, you notice that a whole day has passed. So think about what is going on. What kind of events have transpired? So go ahead and begin writing to that. You have, again, 4 minutes to do so. Time starts now. time is up. We are going to move right into the next prompt. We're going through these pretty quickly. Do let me know if you have any questions. If you would like a few more minutes to write to a certain prompt, I want us to be able to get the most out of each session. So do let me know. Before we move on to our last two prompts, I want to present our optional homework. And so our optional homework is a expansion of last week. Last week, what I asked for everybody to do was to create a 6-word story. And basically, if you've never done a 6-word story, a good example of the most famous one was one that was attributed to Hemingway. And that 6-word story was new shoes, never worn. Oh, let me look it up because I totally botched that one up. So it was for sale, baby shoes, never worn, attributed to Hemingway. I'm going to go ahead and put that in the chat. For sale, new shoes, never worn. And so I assigned last week 3 different genres that I wanted everybody to write 5 6-word stories to each. And those 3 genres were fantasy, horror, and magical realism. Excuse me. If you wanted a little bit more of an extended explanation of that, please feel free to email me and I will give you the complete assignment. Apologies, a little bit difficulties here on my end. So that being said, this week's assignment, I'd also like you to write more on the 6-word story. But instead of writing a 6-word story for each situation, what I would like you to instead do is to go one step further with that. I want you to choose your favorite story from what you created last week. If you didn't do last week's assignment, start there. Start by making these simple 6-word stories. And going from there, I want you to create either a brand new story or with a brand new genre and theme, or take one of those and develop an intro, a body, or a plot development, a cliffhanger or climax, a full story. But you're going to be doing it 6 words at a time. So, let's use as an example the thing I just posted. For sale, new shoes, never worn. That is a pretty complete story. If you were going to go further on that, how do you think in the next 6 words, what would you say with that? So consider doing something like that. Begin with an intro that has 6 words. Move on to the body. It would have 6 words. Flesh it out a little bit more. Give it a cliffhanger. Another 6 words. An ending, 6 words. You can then expand on that. Make it grow longer and longer, but I want you to do it 6 words at a time. I'm going to also assign you a little bit of reading material that will help you get right into the meat of telling a very compelling story in the most succinct way possible, in as little words as possible. So I'm going to post that in the chat. And that is your assignment. Again, if you have any questions about that, feel free to email me or message me on the messenger conversation that is associated with each of these classes. And we can talk more about it. If you're looking for ideas, if you're looking for the direction, if you're not completely clear on what direction you should go, just start somewhere, and then we can flesh it out a bit as a group. All right, so there's your homework. We are going to move right along to prompt number 4. Prompt number 4, I want you to take a well-known phrase. Now, think of a well-known phrase. Think of it right now. My example that I used was cry wolf. Think of something like an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Something very common and often used. Sheep, a wolf in sheep's clothing, something like that. And I want you to think about what it is telling you. What does it initially mean? What is the original meaning of that common phrase or colloquialism? And I want you to scrap that for a moment and weave a new story about that phrase. So say, for example, cry wolf was what I use as an example. Think about the words, think about what they mean, actually, literally, or even in some sort of metaphorical way, and recraft a new story about it, what it's about. You could create a story, you could create a new myth for it, you could create a new metaphor for it. So I'd like you to go ahead and do that right now. Take a well-known phrase like cry wolf, and please weave a new story about it. That is your prompt, and you'll have 4 minutes to do so. You could begin now. Okay, so time is up on that prompt. We're going to move right to the next prompt that will complete our prompts for tonight. You'll notice that I put in the chat the links for next month. I'm sorry, next week. If you haven't signed up for the class, please consider signing up for it. These are the links that you can go through for Eventbrite. If you are normally going through the website, I believe that you can sign up for the class as well through the SocietyX.com. So final prompt for tonight. I want you to make up a phrase that is supposed to hold a magical incantation in it. So go really wild. Make up a phrase, any phrase. It could be a silly phrase. It could be something very grave. It could be something very grand, you know. And just bear in mind that it's supposed to hold some sort of magical incantation in it. So what kind of words would those be? What kind of words conjure up some magic or power to you? That's something to put into consideration. And then finally, tell us what that magical incantation, what those words do. Weave a story, begin weaving a story about that and flesh it out a bit. Really let the incantation itself, the words that you supplied, that your mind, that's been speaking to your mind, and that should be fairly easy. Don't think too hard about it. Think about some words that you may have come across today, some words that are lingering in your mind. Maybe a word from a favorite poem of yours, something you heard in the news, something you heard in a conversation. Those may make up the words to the magical incantation that you're creating. And then just let it go from there. Let the words lead you to what the next words to supply for the story and the incantation itself are. So I'd like you to make up a phrase that is supposed to hold a magical incantation in it. And I'd like you to tell us what that spell does. So go ahead and begin now. You have 4 minutes to write to this. Okay, time is up on our prompt, our last prompt. Do let me know in the chat if you have any questions about that. Let me know how you felt about those prompts. Let me know what you came up with, if there's anything, any lasting impression that happened for you. So we get now into the portion. We have about 12 minutes, 10 minutes to share what we wrote today. And so I invite you now to please click the speak button if you so wish, and share a little bit about what you wrote today. Let us know what you came up with, if you found it fun, what your process was, anything that is lingering with you about these prompts. I'd like to know what you thought about them, what they did for your writing process. So I invite you to hit the speak button. It usually takes about a few seconds for you to hop onto the live. It runs you through an audio check. So just quickly go through that audio check, hang tight, and then you will be on the live with me. If you opt to not do that, I would like to encourage you, even after we finish this session, we can end early if nobody's going to come up and speak. But I do invite you to at least take 15 minutes by yourself quietly to continue writing to the prompts that really gripped you today. Take one or two of them, and I'd like you to concentrate on that. Incorporate them into the optional assignment that I gave you, or as a standalone. Consider also further furnishing them as a piece, further polishing them as a piece. If you have any questions about doing that, if you'd like me to take a look at those pieces that you are cultivating, don't hesitate to let me know. I did put my email in the chat. It is t.dejesus.poet@outlook.com. You could also reach me on Facebook Messenger. That is Phynne-Belle. I'll put that in the chat. And yeah, that's a good way to reach me in between sessions if you have any questions at all. Do remember that I also hold a Sunday night session. It's Sunday 7 o'clock Pacific weekly. It's called Fun Unlocks Creativity. And what we do there is just a jump off of what we do here in these sessions, where we go a little bit more in depth on individual prompts. So 5 prompts are given as well, but we dig in a little deeper on the prompts. We try to get more into the world building. We try to ask questions of each of the prompts. So if that sounds interesting to you, please do join us. And I will close the session. Do keep in touch if you don't attend next week. And I hope that you have a very fruitful writing week. Take good care, everyone. Bye-bye.